Alf, we've got a fun one today. We're going to talk about baseball cards.
Way back in center field, way back, it is.
Why we love them, why are so many collectors collecting them, and more popping up every single day. We're going to go through 3 different eras that I'm going to talk to on baseball cards: vintage baseball cards, 80s, 90s baseball cards, and modern cards. This is going to be a fun time. Before I dive in, our video sponsor today is Magic Spoon. I can't speak for you all, but for me, for my own weight control, I need to have somewhat of a low-carb lifestyle. It just doesn't work. Not to mention with a family always on the go and always needing something quick, Magic Spoon offers high-protein cereal. They've got treats and they've got cereal, and the cereal, high-protein, no-sugar cereal. So this fits the low-carb lifestyle that I'm trying to live. So think about all that tasty childhood cereal that we all had growing up, but it's upgraded with grown-up ingredients. Do we have a clip of the taste test? All right, we've got the frosted flavor, the high-protein. Ooh, it smells good. Milk is good. Here we go. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Tasty. Check out Magic Spoon today and use the SCD code for $5 off your order. I'll also have a link in the video description as well as a QR code floating around here for that $5 off. It's also available on Amazon and your nearest grocery store. Check them out today. All right, so when we think of sports card collectors, it all starts with baseball card collectors. And we've got 100 plus years of history with baseball cards. I recently purchased at the National here, going back a couple weeks ago, 52 Topps Willie Mays and a PSA 1. This is a card that I just had to own. This is, to me, that 52 Topps set is one of the most iconic sets. It might be the most iconic set in the entire hobby. And then to get the player who I believe is the best player of all time, Willie Mays, I'm excited to pick up this card. So when you go to the National, when you go to card shows, when you look at baseball card collectors as a whole, you've got guys that are collecting pre-war, which of course goes way back, 100 years. The Ty Cobbs, the Babe Ruths, the Walter Johnsons, and there's a lot of guys and gals that just focus on pre-war baseball, and that's all that they do. And then, of course, you get into the great cards from the 50s and the 60s. So many legends. When we look at guys like Ted Williams.
Turn towards the pitcher with your front shoulder down and in. Step towards the pitcher so that your momentum and weight are going right back towards the pitcher, which helps you do one very important thing. You have a tendency, because you know you have to be quick, to open up. Your weight's going this way. Not only that, but you know you have to be quick and you start throwing your head out. You start committing yourself too soon. Consequently, you're not waiting. You're going to be fooled more. You won't be able to hit near as well.
That might have been, look, Ted Williams might be the greatest hitter of all time. Maybe Barry Bonds would have something to say about that. But Ted Williams literally started his baseball career, then had to go to war, then came back from war and finished out his career amazingly well. So these guys weren't just baseball players. They were historical figures. They were important people in American history. And I think that's where baseball cards, vintage baseball cards, really ascend past other types of sports cards and collectibles for that matter, is you just have legends. Jackie Robinson broke the color barrier. This is stuff that's really important in American history. And so not only are you collecting the baseball player and what they did on the mound or in the field hitting, but you're also collecting a piece of U.S. history. And so vintage baseball is kind of that starting point. Have a lot of great history, a lot of great stuff, and a huge collector base, the largest collector base in our hobby. Then you come to the 80s and 90s. Baseball hit a little bit of a lull. We come into the steroid era, where a lot of people would say this saved baseball, ironically, even though there's people that hate the fact that steroids were introduced, used in baseball. But, you had the home run chase between Mark McGwire, Barry Bonds, and Ken Griffey Jr. was in that race as well, although he was not using PEDs. But had a lot of huge home run hitters back in those days, and it was fun to watch. Baseball's fun to watch when guys are hitting a couple home runs a game. We have that today with Ohtani and Judge. There's some power hitters too in today's MLB. But the 80s and 90s, you've got great pitchers in Randy Johnson and Greg Maddux. And then you've got great hitters, of course, that we just mentioned there. So the 80s and 90s, and also the late 80s, early 90s, that was the biggest boom that we've seen in sports cards collecting, was from 87 to 94 leading up to the baseball strike. So that 7 years is where myself and many other people around my age really got into sports cards. But before I got into football and basketball cards, and the football basketball Beckett's came out in 1990, it was baseball cards. It was 88 Don Russ, 89 Don Russ, looking for Bo Jackson Diamond Kings. So baseball cards have really been at the forefront of card collecting since the beginning. And then you come to modern day where you've got first Bowmans and different refractors, and you've got now MLB debut patch cards, rookie cards that are incredible. And you've always kind of had prospecting. For the last 20 years, that's not anything that's new. Really for the last 20, 30 years, going back to the Todd Van Poppels and the Greg Jeffries. But now even today, you've got the Cal Raleighs of the world, these guys that are coming up, and everybody is trying to jump on those cards, or they're just trying to get in on those players early where their cards are inexpensive, and then kind of buy, grade, sell those cards as those players are either called up to play in the majors, or they become who you believe that they become. Baseball is really interesting in that way, where these young guys, they get in the league, and then there's kind of an ascension that happens. And if you pick the right ones, you prospect on the right players and their cards, then you can do really well kind of buying, selling, speculating on those cards. And there's also just a lot of people that are collecting the new sets, that like the Topps Chrome, that like the Topps Heritage, they like the Topps Dynasty and those higher end type sets, and they're looking to buy their favorite players out of those. So baseball card collecting, it might be the best that it's ever been. I know I have viewers that have said, no, that was like 5, 7, 10 years ago was the best. But really what they're speaking to is the price points being lower. There wasn't all of the interest that there is now. And what I'm really speaking to in this video is that baseball cards have never been this popular. Even if I'm comparing to 1990, you've had such an evolution of the baseball card hobby where, in 1990, we're talking pre-internet. Now you can buy, sell, trade cards a variety of different ways. Technology has happened, and this hobby is about buying, selling, and trading. So everybody's a mini dealer, everybody's a collector, and it's created an atmosphere where you can hobby a lot of different ways. So baseball card collectors rejoice. It is, in my opinion, the best time to be a baseball card collector. Let me know in the comment section if it will continue that way, or will other sports, maybe, will it be football? Will it be basketball? Will there be other sports that come into this conversation where, baseball cards are collected, but not quite as much as maybe some of these other sports, up and coming sports. Also, friends, don't forget to use the Magic Spoon promo code SCD down below, $5 off that first order. Check out Magic Spoon products. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below, my friends. Stay healthy, stay awesome, and I will talk to you again later.